Rachel Evans opened her eyes slowly. The white ceiling above her blurred as she blinked, trying to remember where she was. The sharp smell of disinfectant, the quiet hum of machines, and the soft beeping of a heart monitor told her, hospital. Her body felt heavy, weak, as though every ounce of strength had drained away. Then it hit her. The surgery. Complicated, the doctor had said. But she'd made it through. Her first thought wasn't about herself. Where's Daniel? She whispered, her voice rough and dry. My husband, he said he'd be here. The nurse looked away for a moment, tucking Rachel's chart under her arm. I'm sorry, Mum. He hasn't come by. Rachel frowned, confused. That couldn't be right. Daniel had driven her to the hospital just yesterday, holding her hand the whole way. He'd kissed her forehead before they wheeled her into the operating room and said, Don't worry, I'll handle everything. I'm not going anywhere. Trying to ignore the ache in her stomach, Rachel reached for her phone on the bedside table. The screen lit up with dozens of missed calls and text alerts, all from her bank. Her pulse quickened. Why would the bank be calling so much? She opened her banking app. Her fingers shook as she typed in her password. When the balance appeared, she thought it was a mistake. $0. Rachel stared at the screen, her mouth dry. She tried refreshing the page. Same result. She checked another account. Empty. Every single cent of her savings was gone. No, this isn't right, she whispered, her voice trembling. Her mind raced. That money was everything she had left after losing her job, the only safety net she could count on. And Daniel had access. He was the one who said, Let me take care of it while you're in the hospital. You just focus on getting better. A cold wave of fear spread through her. What had he done? Where was he now? Why hadn't he come? The nurse noticed her shaking hands. Are you okay? Do you need me to call someone? Rachel forced a weak smile, blinking back tears. No, I'll be fine. But inside, panic swirled. She tried calling Daniel. No answer. She tried again. Straight to voicemail. A knot formed in her chest as she remembered his reassuring words. His kiss before surgery. I'll handle everything, he'd promised. And now nothing. No husband at her bedside. No money in her account. Just silence and betrayal, hitting her when she was at her weakest. Once a vibrant marketing executive, Rachel Evans was used to busy offices, late-night presentations, and the thrill of closing big deals. She loved her job and worked hard to build her career. But when the company downsized last year, she was one of the first to go. Losing that job shook her confidence, but she refused to give up. She told herself she would start fresh. She had savings, carefully built over years, to keep her safe while she figured out her next move. Her marriage to Daniel had always been her comfort. At least it used to be. When they first met, Daniel was charming, funny, and ambitious. He supported her dreams and made her feel like she could do anything. Her family wasn't so sure about him. Marianne, Rachel's mother, was cautious and always asked too many questions. Claire, Rachel's younger sister, was more blunt. I don't trust him, she had said more than once. But Rachel chose love over logic. She believed Daniel when he promised he wanted the same stable, happy life she did. Over the past 2 years, the man she married began to change. Daniel's excuses piled up. Long nights out, sudden trips with no explanation, and stories about losing money that never made sense. Rachel discovered hints of gambling, little lies about where their money was going. When she confronted him, he always had a smooth answer and a loving smile, and she always wanted to believe him. Then she lost her job. Daniel told her not to worry, that he'd take care of things, but he was already slipping away. She noticed how he avoided conversations about bills or rent. She watched him disappear for hours, sometimes days, without telling her where he was. Every time she tried to talk about money, he brushed her off. You're overthinking it, Rachel. We're fine, he'd say. Rachel held on to her savings like a lifeline. It was more than just money. It was her plan to get back on her feet, to pay for her recovery after surgery, and to start again without fear. She thought at least that part of her life was secure. The people closest to her could see the truth clearer than she could. Claire, outspoken and protective, kept telling Rachel she deserved better. You're blind when it comes to him, Claire said. Marianne, her mother, spoke softer but with the same message. Sweetheart, I just don't want you to get hurt. Even Daniel's best friend Marcus seemed to know more than he admitted. He changed the subject whenever Rachel brought up Daniel's long absences or strange spending habits. There was something in his eyes, a mix of pity and worry, that Rachel couldn't quite figure out. Still, Rachel stayed. She told herself Daniel was stressed, that things would get better once she found a new job. She reminded herself of the man she'd fallen in love with, the one who had held her hand through tough days and made her laugh when she wanted to cry. She believed that man was still there somewhere, hiding under the lies. What Rachel didn't know was how much danger she was in. Her savings, the money she counted on to recover and rebuild her life, was the one thing Daniel had been eyeing for a long time. And without it, Rachel had no safety net, no way to pay her medical bills, no way to start fresh. If Daniel took it, she would be completely trapped, sick, broke, and betrayed by the man she trusted most. Rachel confronts Daniel once he finally shows up at the hospital. He walks into her recovery room hours after visiting hours have started, dressed sharply as if he's coming from somewhere important. There are no flowers in his hand, no smile, not even a look of worry. His face is cold, his eyes distant, as if she's nothing more than an errand he has to run. "Daniel," Rachel says, her voice weak but steady. "Where have you been? I've been calling you." He shrugs, not meeting her eyes. "Busy. Work stuff." "Work stuff." Rachel grips the side of her bed, her heart pounding. "Daniel, the bank's been calling me nonstop. I checked my account. Everything's gone." "What happened?" His jaw tightens. "I handled it," he says flatly. "Handled it?" Her voice cracks. "That was my savings, Daniel. All of it. What did you do?" Finally, he looks at her, but his gaze isn't soft or loving. It's impatient, almost annoyed. "I needed it. You'll be fine. You're strong. You'll bounce back. Don't make this a big deal." Rachel feels the air leave her lungs. "Don't make this a big deal?" she whispers. "Daniel, I just had surgery. I can barely sit up. That money was supposed to pay for my recovery. It was everything I had." He waves a hand as if brushing away her words. "Stop being dramatic. We're married. What's mine is yours, right? I'll fix it later." Tears sting Rachel's eyes. This isn't about money anymore. It's about the man standing in front of her, the man she trusted with her life, who now looks at her like she's a problem instead of his wife. "How could you do this to me?" she asks softly. Daniel doesn't answer. He glances at his watch. "I've got to go. Rest up, okay?" Before Rachel can speak again, he's out the door, leaving her shaking with anger and heartbreak. A nurse comes in a few minutes later to check her vitals. Rachel wipes her eyes quickly, trying to hide her tears, but the nurse hesitates, looking uncomfortable. "Mrs. Evans, are you all right?" Rachel forces a weak smile. "I'm fine. Just tired." The nurse bites her lip, as if deciding whether to say something. Then she lowers her voice. "I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I saw your husband outside earlier. He was on the phone. I overheard a little." Rachel stiffens. "What did you hear?" The nurse glances at the door, making sure no one else is listening. He said, "I transferred it. It's done. She won't know until it's too late." Then he hung up. Rachel feels her stomach twist. "You're sure?" The nurse nods. "I didn't hear the whole thing. But I thought you should know." When the nurse leaves, Rachel sinks back against her pillow, her heart pounding louder than the beeping monitor beside her. Daniel hadn't made a mistake. This wasn't some misunderstanding. He had taken her money on purpose. He planned it. The kiss on her forehead before surgery, the promise to handle everything. All lies. He had waited until she was at her weakest, unable to fight back, and stolen everything she'd saved. Rachel's hands tremble as she grips her phone. She wants to call him, to scream, to demand answers. But what would it change? He didn't care. He'd shown that in his eyes, in his voice, in the way he walked out without even a backward glance. The betrayal cuts deeper than the pain from her stitches. This isn't just about money. It's about the man she loves showing her that her trust, her heart, her whole life with him means nothing. And now, lying helpless in a hospital bed, Rachel realizes the truth. Daniel isn't just careless. He's dangerous. Rachel goes home after a week in the hospital, moving slowly and carefully, her body still aching from surgery. The apartment feels cold and strange, like it no longer belongs to her. Piles of unopened mail sit on the kitchen counter. Most are bills with red letters stamped across them. Past due. Daniel isn't there when she arrives. When he finally walks in that evening, he acts as if nothing is wrong. "You're back," he says casually, dropping his keys on the table. "No who. No wodems. Daniel, we need to talk," Rachel says quietly. "Not now," he replies, heading straight to the fridge. "I'm tired. But the bills." He slams the fridge door. "Rachel, stop. You're being dramatic. I told you I'd take care of it." "Take care of it?" Rachel's voice rises. "You drained my account. You left me in the hospital alone. Do you even care?" Daniel turns, his face cold. "You're overreacting. I did what I had to do. You'll thank me later." Rachel feels dizzy, not from the pain in her body but from his words. He's acting like she's the problem, as if stealing her savings is no big deal. Over the next few days, things only get worse. The bills keep coming. The landlord calls about late rent. Rachel tries to rest, but her mind spins. Daniel disappears for hours and gives no explanation. When she asks where he's been, he snaps. "Why are you always on my case? You should be focusing on getting better instead of nagging me." Claire, Rachel's younger sister, visits often. She cooks for her, cleans the apartment, and keeps watch while Rachel recovers. "You can't stay with him, Rach," Claire says firmly one afternoon. "He's using you. He doesn't even care that you almost died." Rachel presses her hands together, her eyes filling with tears. "I still love him," she whispers. "I remember how he used to be. I keep thinking maybe he'll change." Claire shakes her head. "He won't. You deserve so much better." A few nights later, Rachel overhears Daniel on the phone in the living room. He's pacing, speaking in a low but angry voice. She stays hidden by the bedroom door, holding her breath. "I told you I'd get it done," he hisses into the phone. "The money's yours. The apartment will be ready by next week. Stop rushing me." Rachel's heart pounds. The apartment? She realizes the money wasn't for paying off debts like Daniel hinted. It was for someone else. A woman. The next day, Marcus, Daniel's best friend, drops by to return some tools. He seems nervous, avoiding Rachel's eyes. She tries to make small talk, but then Marcus slips. "Daniel said he's finally free now that you're stuck at home," Marcus mutters, then quickly adds, "I mean, he didn't mean it like that." Rachel freezes. "Free?" Marcus swallows hard. "Forget I said anything. I'm just tired." Then he leaves in a hurry. Rachel sits down slowly, her whole body trembling. The pieces start to fit together. Daniel wasn't just careless with money. He wanted her out of the way. He bragged about it. That night, Rachel decides she can't sit still any longer. She starts gathering proof. She pulls her bank statements and takes photos. She writes down every strange thing Daniel says. She keeps her phone close, ready to record any conversation. The anger inside her grows stronger than the pain in her stitches. Every lie, every cold glance, every hour he spends with someone else fuels her. She isn't just heartbroken now. She's preparing for a fight. Rachel confronts Daniel with evidence. The mistress, the stolen money, and all the lies he thought she didn't know. She waits until he comes home late one evening, smelling of perfume that isn't hers. "Sit down, Daniel," Rachel says firmly, holding a folder full of papers. Her voice is calm, but her hands are steady now, not shaking like before. He smirks and tosses his keys on the counter. "What's this about now? Another lecture?" Rachel opens the folder and lays everything out on the table. Bank statements, screenshots of text messages, notes from overheard phone calls. "I know where the money went. I know about the apartment. And I know about her." Daniel laughs, shaking his head. "Wow, you've been busy for someone who's supposed to be resting. Snooping around while I'm out working to keep us afloat." "Stop lying," Rachel snaps. "You drained my savings to pay for another woman's apartment. You betrayed me when I could barely get out of bed." His smile fades, but only for a second. Then his face twists with anger. "So what? You think you're some kind of detective now? You're pathetic, Rachel. You've got nothing. No job. No money. No future without me." Rachel takes a deep breath. "You're wrong. I already filed a police report. I've spoken to a lawyer. Claire helped me. Everything is in motion, Daniel. You can't talk your way out of this." His eyes narrow. "You wouldn't dare." "I already did." The room goes silent, except for Rachel's breathing. She feels the weight of months of fear lifting off her shoulders. For the first time, she isn't scared of him. Before Daniel can reply, there's a loud knock at the door. He frowns, walking over to open it, and freezes. Standing there is a tall, angry-looking woman with arms crossed. "Where's my money, Daniel?" the woman demands, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "You promised me the full amount. You said she wouldn't find out." Rachel's stomach turns. So this is the mistress. Daniel glances between them, panic flashing across his face. "You need to leave," he mutters to the woman. "Now's not a good time." The woman ignores him and looks at Rachel. "Did he tell you I was moving into an apartment he paid for? With your money?" Rachel doesn't flinch. "Yes. I know everything." The mistress glares at Daniel. "And you didn't even give me all of it. You lied to me too. Where's the rest?" Daniel's voice rises, desperate now. "Shut up. Both of you. This is none of your business." Rachel stands, steadying herself on the table. "It is my business. You stole from me. You used me. And you thought I'd be too weak to fight back." The mistress steps closer, pointing a finger in Daniel's face. "You told me she'd never know. You said you'd take care of it. You're nothing but a liar." Daniel looks trapped, spinning around the room as both women close in on him. His charm, his smooth excuses, none of it works now. Rachel's voice is calm, almost cold. "It's over, Daniel. The police know. The lawyer knows. And now she knows who you really are. You're done." Daniel tries to speak, but no words come out. For the first time, Rachel sees fear in his eyes. Not because he cares about losing her, but because he's finally losing control. And this time, Rachel isn't the one who feels helpless, he is. Rachel files charges for financial abuse and fraud. The police come to the apartment with a court order, and Daniel is forced to leave. He shouts and threatens as he's escorted out, but Rachel doesn't shake this time. She just watches him go, holding Claire's hand tightly. For the first time in months, the apartment feels safe again. The next few weeks are hard. Rachel is weak from surgery, and now she's alone in the home they once shared. But this time the silence feels peaceful, not frightening. Claire and Marian visit almost every day. They cook, clean, and remind Rachel that she is stronger than she thinks. "You're not broken," Claire says firmly. He is. Slowly Rachel starts to heal. Not just her body, but her heart. She spends more time with her mother, drinking tea in the mornings and talking about life. She laughs with Claire again, real laughter, not the forced kind she had used to hide her pain. Money is tight, but Rachel refuses to give up. She pulls out her old laptop and starts taking small freelance marketing jobs online. At first, it's only enough to cover groceries, but each paycheck feels like proof that she doesn't need Daniel or anyone to survive. With every project, her confidence grows back. Rachel also begins therapy. Sitting in a quiet office, she talks about the betrayal, the lies, and the fear that kept her trapped. One day, she says something she's never admitted out loud. "The hardest part wasn't losing the money. It was realizing I loved someone who could hurt me so deeply. Someone who looked at my weakness and used it against me." Her therapist nods. "That's grief. You're not just mourning the man you thought he was. You're mourning the version of yourself who trusted him." Rachel wipes her eyes and breathes deeply. "I don't want to be that version of me anymore." Bit by bit, she becomes stronger. She changes the locks on the apartment. She learns to manage her finances again. She starts making plans, not our plans, just her plans. Months later, Daniel tries to call her, leaving angry voicemails and begging messages. She doesn't answer. She doesn't need to. The woman who once begged him to stay now knows she's better off without him. Rachel chooses herself, not the marriage. She rebuilds her life with her own hands, piece by piece. The scars are still there, but they no longer control her. She's free. Rachel, months later, sits in a small cafe with Claire. The late afternoon sun pours through the windows, warming the wooden tables. Rachel looks healthier now. Her face has color again, and there's a calm strength in her eyes. Claire sets down 2 mugs of coffee. "You look good, Rach. Like yourself again." Rachel smiles softly. "I feel lighter." She opens her laptop and logs into her new bank account. The screen shows a small balance. Not much, just enough to cover rent and a few bills. But it's hers. Money she earned through her own work. No lies, no secrets. Rachel leans back and lets out a quiet laugh. It's funny. I used to look at numbers like this and panic. Now I look at it and feel proud. Claire reaches across the table and squeezes her hand. You did this. All by yourself. Rachel nods. Yeah, I did. She takes a deep breath, her chest no longer heavy with fear or anger. For the first time in a long while she feels free. As they sip their coffee, Claire glances at her sister. Do you ever think about him? Rachel pauses, thinking carefully. Sometimes. But not the way I used to. I'm not angry anymore. She gives a small, sad smile. He took my money but he didn't take me. Claire smiles back, her eyes warm with pride. Rachel closes her laptop, watching people pass by outside the cafe window. She feels a quiet victory settling in her heart. Not loud or flashy, but steady and real. She's no longer trapped, no longer waiting for someone else to save her. She saved herself. The world outside keeps moving, but Rachel feels ready to move with it. Not because everything is perfect, but because she finally knows her own strength. Hi friends. Thanks so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, drop a comment, and hit that subscribe button for more stories. See you next time.